I know you're keen to talk about other things like local energy generation this evening. I'm sure you'll say what you want to on that score. But isn't this just another government policy right now? You want a champion that's being overshadowed by all the challenging events involving the party?
Yeah, it's deeply frustrating. I mean, I think back to last week where we voted to lift 500,000 kids out of poverty. We had a 10-year cancer strategy. We were putting billions of pounds into Pride in Place to lift people's local communities. We've got this fantastic energy announcement today. We want to focus on the things that really matter to people: cost of living, putting more money into their pockets, making sure people can save for a family, that they've got secure jobs. These are the things people care about. And it's been very frustrating that we've had a week of political drama, which none of us want to be dealing with. We want to get on with the job in hand, not least the Prime Minister.
Sure. Self-inflicted, though.
Well, I think, politics is always full of high drama, and the polls aren't where we want them to be, and we're first to acknowledge we've made mistakes. And the Prime Minister was very candid at the Parliamentary Labour Party last night in saying, look, I made a mistake. He apologised, as he had done to the victims, to the members of the party. And there was a contrition and a rawness and an honesty there that I think people really responded to. But moving from that, he then set out such a passionate and convincing vision of where he wanted to take the country, of what drives him, that the support from the Parliamentary Labour Party was overwhelming. There was, as I said, a roar when he came into the room. And I think people really want to see their Prime Minister battling and focusing on the things that we want to talk about.
Well, why has it taken a crisis for that to appear, and for it only to appear, of course, amongst friends in the Palace at Westminster?
That's a good question. I think we've all would like to see that Keir last night. People said we'd like to bottle that and send that out to the public, and I hope we see more of that.
Why was it so good, though? I mean, from your point of view, why? We had Tan Desi here last night saying similar. We heard from Lucy Powell saying similar as well. What was so different that the rest of us are not able to see at the moment? I
feel like he was unleashed, and perhaps, I mean, Keir is someone who I think is really driven by a sense of public duty, and that's, his background in law, and I think perhaps sometimes he's, the responsibility and the duty that he feels very strongly perhaps might make all of us in politics feel that we have to perhaps restrain ourselves a bit. And I think, as I said last night, I saw him unleashed, and I think we're going to see a lot more of that. I hope to see more of that battling Prime Minister, that fighting Prime Minister, but fighting for things that he really cares about and the reasons that brought him into politics and many of us into politics as well, which is to make the country better for the people we represent.
But now we see the former number 10 comms chief, Matthew Doyle, who was given a peerage only last month. He's been suspended from the party because of his links to a convicted sex offender, Sean Morton. What do you make of that?
Really pleased he's been suspended, have the whip withdrawn. I think it's really shocking. And from what I understand, I wasn't involved in the process, but what I understand was that Number 10 were not aware that he continued to campaign for this individual. So I think now it's really good that now it's come to light. They've taken swift action. And this is part of the Prime Minister said last night and has said since the weekend, this is a reset moment now. We've got to get things right. No more mistakes like this.
Hang on. A reset moment. Why do you need a reset moment for this kind of thing to happen? Whether reset or no reset, this kind of thing clearly looks wrong and the action looks right.
But because the government weren't aware of what this individual had been happening, and just like with Mandelson, we've got to strengthen the vetting processes. We've got to take this far more seriously. And I think Keir, feels that more than anyone. He wants to get this right. We've come in with a big commitment to clean up politics, whether that's banning second jobs and strengthening the independent commission. These are things that all of us as public servants feel very, very strongly about. Politics, particularly in the Labour Party, politics should not be for the wealthy, for the powerful, for people who want to evade this kind of scrutiny. We've got to get this right. And Keir's made that very clear this weekend, as have all of my colleagues across the Parliamentary Labour Party.
It's been reported that women MPs and ministers were already asking for Matthew Doyle to go. Were you one of those women asking for that?
I think the women in the Labour Party have felt for a while that we want to make our voices more strongly heard in Parliament. There has been lots of...
Did you make yours heard?
It's not something that I was aware of. I wasn't aware of his situation. What I have been clear about is that I want to see more diverse voices in Number 10 and around the Cabinet table and hearing differences of opinion. And I think the Prime Minister respects that. And I think we have seen a change of culture this weekend. He has come out very strongly and said to the PLP last night, I want to do better at listening. We're one team. We've got to work together and take this forward.
I'm sorry to labour this point, but the other voices are making themselves heard. We heard Stephen Flynn from the SNP talking about this very particular issue a few days ago. Others in Scotland have been saying the same. So again, why the delay with the Labour hierarchy in doing anything about these issues? There are echoes here of Mandelson again?
Well, I think, again, what we'd been told was not the truth when that decision was made. So, look, the investigation is happening within the Labour Party now. The Prime Minister said, enough is enough, I'm taking this step. And he was very, very clear now that he's done that. And I think it's right to it that he's done that.
Do you think Labour has a problem? And perhaps some men in the party are just too trusting, perhaps even gullible, perhaps not curious enough when it comes to asking questions about and dealing with these extremely serious issues that are involving sex crimes, paedophilia, terrible stuff.
Absolutely not. That's not the case. I mean, you've got a Prime Minister who, as the Director of Public Prosecutions, was taking paedophiles on, putting them behind bars. Our commitment in our manifesto is to halve violence against women and girls. We've got a Labour Party that is absolutely strong, and you'll have heard us in the chamber from across the backbenches as well, across the Cabinet. We've got people sat around that Cabinet table absolutely determined, people like Jess Phillips, strong voices, Shabana Mahmood. People are absolutely adamant that we are taking on these kinds of issues in the public and wherever it rears its head, and the Prime Minister is absolutely at the forefront of that.
Matthew Doyle is having the whip removed. Should he remain as a Lord?
No, I don't think he should. That's my personal view. And just like with Peter Mandelson, we're going to be making it easier for people who have particularly undertaken criminal offences to be removed from the Lords. We don't have that power at the moment. He's not committed a criminal offence. But, I just think people who have got this kind of record or have not been clear and transparent, there's no place for them in the Lords. That's why we're also reforming the House of Lords, because for too long I think it's been a bit of a, the vetting hasn't been strong enough, and it's absolutely down to us to redouble those efforts.
Matthew Doyle has, of course, put out his own statement, his own point of view on this situation. Listen, just final question, just to finish off on a slightly different note. We've been looking at the situation for kids with special needs this evening. They and their parents have been waiting and waiting for more clarity on what their futures are going to look like from the government. It was meant to come in the autumn. We're waiting for it now. When's the clarity going to come, and what's it going to look like?
Well, it's really important that we get this right. Special educational needs is probably one of the most important issues that we face in this country. When I came back in as an MP in 2024, I couldn't believe how many more parents were raising this with me from when I was in last time as an MP. Every single surgery, a parent raises this. So we know the system is in crisis, as you said. So it's really important that we listened to parents, that we listened to teachers and schools, and that we got this right.
But months have passed, childhoods are passing, and you still haven't done anything about it.
Because we've undertaken a huge consultation, and I took part in that myself. I had an event in my constituency to hear from parents, because too often parents have felt like they've been battling the system and no one's been listening. So we had to make sure the system listened to them, their voices were taken right to the heart of government, and I'm really looking forward to what Bridget Phillipson, our Education Secretary, is going to come forward with, because every single child deserves the best opportunity in life, and that's what we as a Labour government are here to do.